Today we're going to look at slope-intercept form as a review, and then we are also going to look at a new form called point-slope. So in this warm-up, remember we need to look for our b, always our beginning, and it happens to be 4. Remember we have y equals mx plus b. So if the b is 4, I need something plus 4. This is a possibility. This is not. This is not. This is a possibility. If I look at my line, we talked about slope yesterday. Slope is either positive increasing or negative. This one happens to be going down, so my slope is in fact negative. And we are going to count between the pretty points. Look for where the graph crosses the grid nice and neat. So I can count down to 2 is a negative because I'm going down, and I'm going to the right. Right is a positive 3. So my slope is a negative 2/3. Don't forget to write your x, which means my answer will be D. So now I'm going to continue with our notes. Now this is a new formula. Look at this pattern. It is very different. This is what we call point slope form. So instead of a y-intercept, we have a point on the line. We still have m, which is going to be our slope, but now you'll see I have a y1 and I also have an x1. These are going to be coordinates in the grid. So we want to first focus on our slope. Okay, we can see that in fact this line is increasing. I don't want to worry about my y-intercept. This is in the middle here, so it's not a nice pretty number, so we're not going to worry about that. We're going to find some dots that are nice and neat on our graph. So here's one, here's another one. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to count my slope like we did before. This line is increasing. My slope is a positive. So I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. And to the right again is positive. So I can see that my slope is a positive 3/4. And we can see in our equation that the slope is outside the parentheses. It is always next to the x. And I can see that b does not have the right slope, and neither does d. Okay. So the other thing that we need to look at, if x1 and y1 are a coordinate, y1, x1, y1, x1, sorry, not 2, 1. We need to also realize that in this formula, we have a minus in front of these, okay? So if this was originally a minus, then minus minus becomes a positive, right? So my y here is a negative 3. I'm not going to worry about the minus there. So this coordinate is 2, negative 3. Same thing down here. I already have a minus, so here's my y. This is a positive, so minus a negative 2 is my x, so negative 2, positive 3. Now, one of these coordinates is on my dot, or on my line. So right here, this dot right here is negative 2, positive 3, so it's going to be C. Okay. 2 negative 3 is way down here. That doesn't go near my line. So what we're looking at here is the slope. And then we are looking, so the slope is going to be that m. And then we're also looking at our coordinates. Okay, and because we have minuses right here in our equation, we have to change that sign. So let's do a little more practice with that. Here I have a graph. We're going to start with our slope. Okay, this one we can see our y-intercept. Our b is a negative 3. And I'm going to have some nice pretty points to find my slope. My line is going down, so I know that I have a negative slope. And I can count, everything's counting by ones, so I'm going to go down to, there's my negative. Remember, it can go on the top, the bottom, or the middle. And I'm going to go right. Right is positive 3. So my equation here is y equals negative 2 over 3x minus 3. Now notice that our answers are in standard form. We did this a little bit back. So this is where we have our 2 steps where we need to, we need to move our x and divide by our coefficient of y. So on this first one, we want to see which ones look like that. So I need to get my y by itself because I want it to match what I have up here. So I'm going to minus my 2x. We cannot put the 9 and the 2x together because one has an x and one doesn't. So 3y equals 9 minus 2x. To get my y by itself, I'm going to divide everything by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1y. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And a negative 2 divided by 3 does not simplify. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to look, and I can see that my slopes match. Oh, but this is a positive 3 and I needed a negative 3, so it's not going to be that answer. So let's try the next one. I'm going to minus my 2x. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Make sure you bring that negative down with that 9. And then to get y by itself, I'm going to divide everything by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1y. Negative 9 divided by 3 is a negative 3. And my negative 2/3 does not simplify. So I think this might be our answer. Let's double check the others just in case. Again, we have a positive 2x, so we're going to minus it. Now, when you bring this down, this is a negative 3y now, so make sure you bring down that negative, the same with the 9. And then we're going to divide everything by a negative 3 because we want this to be a positive y, so a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Same thing with the 9 and the 3, and the 2 and the 3. So that one, the slope, it definitely doesn't match because we wanted, if we come back up here, we wanted a negative slope. So we know it's definitely not C. And then we'll just check on this last one. This is a positive again, so we're going to minus it. And we're bringing down this negative. Don't forget those signs. That's very, very important. Divide everything by that negative 3 because negative divided by negative is a positive. Here I have a positive divided by a negative is a negative. And a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So again, my slope turned out to be positive, so it can't be that one. So we'll go back and it must be B. That is the one that matched. Now I want you to notice that when I wrote this, up here, right, they're just flip-flopped, but the signs match, so we're okay. Here we have a table. You can use list and spreadsheets here if you would like. Remember that when we make a table, X is on the left and Y is on the right. The y-intercept is not listed here, but we can find the slope. The slope is the change in y over the change in x. So I can very easily see that from 24 to 12, I'm subtracting 12. And from 3 to 6, I'm adding 3. So if I wrote negative 12 over 3, my slope is a negative 4. Well, this has a negative 4? No. This has a negative 4? No. So if I look at my pattern, and I went back to 0, right? I can write 0 here. I can see that this is the same as negative 4 over 1, right? And this is my y, and this is my x. So if I go back 1, I would get to 0. And if I said something minus 4 is 32, I would get 36, and that would be my B. So this has to be answer C. Again, you can use lists and spreadsheets if you feel more comfortable with that, putting that into your calculator. Now remember, if you do that, X and Y, don't put anything in that equals line. And then when you get down to C1, menu 413. All right. Same thing on this. We have a nice little table here. This one is set up a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead, if I look at my answers, I'm going to go ahead and distribute these because that doesn't really make sense to me. 13 times a negative 2 is a negative 36. Negative 13 times 2 is a negative 26x, and a negative times a negative is a positive. Positive 26x. Oh, this is going to be a big one. Negative 52. Negative 52x, and a positive 2. So I think all of our slopes are different here, so we really probably could look at that. So remember, change in y over change in x. So we're adding 39 on our y's. We're adding 3 on our x's. 13 over 3, my slope, or 39 over 3, my slope is 13. And A is the only one with a slope of 13. So hopefully this is helpful. Please let us know if you have any questions.